Howdy, welcome to Dead Air Episode 2. I am your host, Evil Daddy. Also, you can call me Dwight. We went over this last time. Today's episode, we are going to be going over summer horror movies. It's hot as balls out. It's like 90 out today. Actually, it might be like 89. Today's like one of the colder days of the last couple weeks. But the last couple weeks, it's definitely been like 90, 96, 97. And it's humid. I live in Ohio. Ohio is just basically a swamp without the Florida. So you walk outside and you just get moist. Just not in a good way. You just get bad moist. It's my punk band name, Bad Moist. But yeah, summer horror movies. I actually took a lot of notes for this episode, so I hope this episode doesn't go way too long, and I'm going to be disappointed if it, what the hell is this doing? I'm going to be disappointed if it's only like 20 minutes, because I'm shooting for 40 to an hour. So let's see how this goes. I've got 5 sections, all with about 5 movies a piece. My main goal here is that hopefully even like established horror movie fans can leave this episode with at least 1 or 2 movies they haven't seen before recommended to them. In this first section, start right off, is the summer camp section. We're going to start off with the most recent release, probably I think on this list, most recent, because I've got dates and stuff here too. That is In a Violent Nature. Came out this year from director Chris Nash. I believe it's his debut feature film. He knocked it out of the park with this one. If you haven't seen it, because I believe it's still doing its theater run, and it is also limited. I know me and my buddy had to go to a, not our normal theater, go to a bigger one in a bigger city to actually find where it was playing. It was great. This movie is a summer camp. Sorry, there's a fucking, if you're watching, you saw me doing karate. This is basically a summer camp love letter to the Friday the 13th series. It's almost like playing the Friday the 13th video game, but if it was a a single player game rather than a multiplayer, like asymmetrical thing, because the whole movie is just the audience following around the killer, Johnny, who's just this big zombie dude. So it's more like Friday 6 and on rather than like the ones prior. But those ones are fun also. Some people think this movie's boring. If you're not into like artsy, like atmospheric movies, the camera work in this takes its time. And it will hold shots. You'll be listening to it. The sound design is awesome. Probably the second best sound design on this list. We'll get into the best one in like 2 sections. But it also has maybe the best kill of the year. It had a kill in it that made me look at my friend and go, we were looking at each other just like. So if you can't see the face I made there, I was befuddled. I was very surprised that they were able to surprise me with a kill, because shut up, bird. Bird outside, because I've seen so many of them. It's hard to find unique ones now. This was a very unique kill, and if you don't care about what you've heard, if you think it's too slow, sounds like it would be boring to you, maybe just Google the kill. Just find it. It's awesome. You should check that out. Everyone should see that. Next on the list, I don't know why I didn't put. We'll just keep it in this order, but Sleepaway Camp is the next summer camp movie on here, by Robert Hitzelzik, from 1983. Sleepaway Camp is a movie that does all the tropes that you want from a summer camp movie, but with sort of like an M. Night Shyamalan twist at the end. So definitely, you can only watch this movie once and be surprised. But the surprise, I think, is worth it. The surprise is somewhat dated, but I don't think they really do it that bad of a way. There's some really good kills in it. I remember a guy getting killed with like a pot of chili. That's unique. That's pretty cool. Sleepaway Camp is awesome. I hear the second one or the third one is also really good. I haven't seen any of those, but I need to watch them. The next one that I thought that I had earlier on the list is just Friday the 13th in general. That is like the quintessential summer camp series. I think specifically the best ones for a summer camp feel are 4, which is the final chapter. Spoiler, it is not the final chapter. 6, which is the first one you get zombie Jason in, and then the remake. I've talked about Friday the 13th a lot on all my social media platforms, so I won't go too deep into this. The remake is my favorite one. I think it kind of covers everything. I think it kind of covers everything that I want to see in a Friday the 13th movie, and it does it in a contemporary, like, brutal way. Then we've got The Burning. The Burning is probably the least well-known of the summer camp movies, I would say, especially out of these ones. The movie came out, so it was, I've been saying directors in years too. So it's from 1981, Tony Malum. I don't know anything else he did, but The Burning came out the year after Friday the 13th, Part 1. And I would assume, if I had to bet money, the creators of The Burning did what the creators of Friday the 13th did to Halloween to Friday the 13th. Meaning that they saw this movie be made for a very low budget and make a lot of money. So they were like, hey, we can just copy that and make it. And I think they accidentally made The Burning a really good summer camp slasher. It's got great kills. It's got a fun antagonist. The characters are like stupid, but you don't hate them. They're like fun to hear talk back and forth with each other. It's probably the only movie where there's, gardening shears he's using? Yeah, I can't think of another killer that uses those, so that's pretty unique. It's also Jason Alexander's first movie ever. George Costanza from Seinfeld. So that's kind of cool if you're a big Seinfeld guy or gal or them. You might be into that. That's it for the first section, summer camps. Now I feel like I'm zooming too fast. I hope I'm not talking too fast through these now, because I saw how much I wrote out. It's like, damn, I wish I could have wrote like this in college. I never take notes like this. Excuse me, drinky drink. The next section is just based on hot as hell. So movies that are just hot. Summer is hot. And sometimes when you watch a movie that is just so bright and got the orange vignettes over it, and you're in AC that's not working, and you're just sweating along with the movie, that's a summer horror movie. So the number one on that is the quintessential Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the very first one. 1974, Tobe Hooper. There's not really anything I can say about this that hasn't been said. It's one of my favorite movies. I think it's one of the most important movies of all time. If it's not for that, you don't get Halloween. If it's not for that, you don't get, like, slashers in general. You don't get the inbred family fucking trope. Just it starts so much. And I think it's a movie that, yeah, you can laugh at how the acting was back then, but if you're able to take that with a grain of salt and go into this movie and just get immersed, it's truly scary. Like, the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a creepy movie. When Leatherface first comes out and he, like, hits that guy in the head with a hammer, and the guy's just, like, twitching on the ground, and it's before this, it's doing all the setup with the crawl, like Star Wars, where it's telling you that all of this is real. Excuse me, I burped. I feel like most of us at one point thought Texas Chainsaw Massacre was real. I did. I had friends telling me that their parents told them it was real, so I was like, I don't want to watch that. That scares the shit out of me. Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a movie that when you watch it, it feels like sweating. And I feel like that's accurate. And if you've seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you understand what I'm saying. When you see that roadkill shot, you're like, oh, I can smell that. That's a cooking carcass. Texas Chainsaw Massacre is awesome. The next movie on this list is a very recent movie that is heavily influenced by Texas Chainsaw Massacre. X, Ty West's X from 2022. I would say, so a lot of people call X a slasher. I think it's difficult to call a slasher because it doesn't really meet I think the main trope being, like, who is the slasher in it? Is it Pearl? Is it the old lady? Because, like, there's also the old man, and he's got enough. I think he has, like, just as many scenes as Pearl does, but Pearl has cooler scenes. I don't know. We won't get into that. I don't really think it's a slasher. I think it's more of an it resembles more exploitation films, which is funny because it's called X. X for exploitation, if you didn't get that. But it's just, there's so many things. There's, like, nothing really original about X. It wears all of its influences on its sleeve, but that's not a bad thing because all the movies, the sun behind me just changed. That's cool. All the movies that it is inspired by, I think it does them justice. It does really well. I don't, like, it's not going to knock your socks off. I feel like I say knock your socks off a lot. I think I say knock your socks off a lot. It's not going to kick your underwear off the way, like, the first time you watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre will. Maybe if you've never seen that before but you watch X first, it might do that to you. But X is just overall a really fun homage to the exploitation era. And it may not be as hot, like, heat-wise, as Texas Chainsaw Massacre is, but it does have a lot more sex, so it's hotter in that department. It's, if you don't know, X is about this group that goes, they, like, rent a cabin, or they rent part of a barn that is renovated to be a cabin that's behind a farm to shoot a softcore porn thing in the porn industry during the 70s, I think, or late 60s. And then it turns out the owners of the farm don't like that. They're like, that's dirty and that's bad, and bad things start to happen. But X is really fun. Actually, the third movie in the X trilogy, being X, then Pearl, then Maxine. Maxine just came out last week. Hopefully I can see that this week. I have not seen it yet. We might need to do, like, a Ty West episode because I really like X and Pearl, but possibly my favorite movie by him isn't even in the X trilogy. But we'll get into that on a different video. The next one for the hot as hell section is The Hills Have Eyes. That is not the remake by Alexandra. Is it Aja? I've never heard anyone say his name. It's not the remake. It is the original by Wes Craven. I've never seen the remake. I've been told I would love the remake, but as of right now, I'm just putting the original on here. That movie, I think, is the first good Wes Craven movie. I don't like Last House on the Left. I understand that Last House on the Left is important. I just think it seems like a movie that was made by high schoolers, which maybe it was. I don't know how old Wes Craven was when he made that movie. But The Hills Have Eyes is just a desert horror movie that also has, similar to Texas Chainsaw, I guess it's less inbred and it's more mutants. These people are going out in the desert. I think they're in the Mojave Desert, and there's they roll in accidentally to, like, a nuclear testing facility, and these cannibalistic mutants, I think that's the best way to put them, just cannibalistic mutants come out, and it's a good time. Wes Craven's Hills Have Eyes is a good time, and I need to watch the remake. The next one is also a desert movie. It is Tremors from 1990 by Ron Underwood. This is Tremors a horror comedy? Because Tremors seems like it's self-aware. Tremors is funny and big monster fun. So if you just want, like, a fun desert movie with Kevin Bacon, which I forgot to mention, like, Friday the 13th has first Kevin Bacon movie, but he, spoiler alert, dies in it, and he's not in any other ones. This one has a whole lot more bacon. So if you love Kevin Bacon, okay, so my SD card was overfull, so I had to switch out my SD card. So sorry, Tremors, you're going to be getting cut a little short here. We're going to go to the next one. Sorry, that frazzled my stuff up here. After Trimmers, the last one of the Hot as Hell section is The Outwaters from 2022 by Robbie Banfitch. It is a found footage desert movie. It's a bit hard to follow at times, and I did think the characters were somewhat annoying, but when I said earlier that Violent in Nature might have, or In a Violent Nature might have the best sound design on the list, or at least second best, this one might have the best sound design. The sound design in this movie is worth watching it regardless. Just when they're like going into caverns and just around the desert, it's hard to explain. If you watch the movie and just listen, I feel like it's a movie you could watch without visuals because the sound is so good. It tells you what's happening with the sound. Now, is what happening super confusing? Yes. But I thought it was a really fun found footage film. So you should check that out if you haven't seen it. There's an annoying song in it that one of the main characters like whistles and sings throughout it because they're like shooting a music video. That was my least favorite part. Other than that, I thought it was a great movie. A lot of fun. Outwaters. Check that one out. The next section, third section of the summer horror movies is my least favorite thing, water. I'm not a water guy. I don't know how to swim. I don't care about swimming. My friends made me go to a pool the other day, so I wore a cowboy hat to embarrass them. But water and summer go along so well because swimming pools and beaches and lakes and just all the things people like doing that aren't me. I'd rather stay indoors in the AC. But the number one water movie, I would say, is Steven Spielberg's Jaws. That movie's just same with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You can't say any more about it. It's so good. It's been talked about for 50 years. It's the shark movie. It's the 4th of July movie. It's the movie that invented the blockbuster. So blockbusters, that wasn't a term until, I believe, unless I was told wrong, until Jaws came out and there were so many people lining up to see the movie, that invented the term blockbuster because they were just blocking every block. That'd be a blocker. You know what I mean. It invented the blockbuster. Steven Spielberg put him on the map. Jaws, you have to watch it. Now, this next one is another shark movie because I felt like I needed at least 2 shark movies. But it is not near as good as Jaws. I wouldn't even say it's a 10th as good as Jaws. Sharknado from 2013. It's just dumb fun. So if you hate fun, you'll hate Sharknado. But if you can just have a little fun every now and then in your life, the Sharknado movies, I'm pretty sure there's about 6 or 7 of them now. And at some point they like go into the future and there's time travel and Dolph Lundgren, and it's just, the movies are so fun. Especially the first one is the easiest to watch. Maybe just watch like a summary of all the other ones. I think I watched like a 2-hour-long summary one night when I was just hanging out, and that's how I really found out the storyline. But it's also got Tara Reid in it. I was a Van Wilder kid. I was showed that way too young. I watch anything with Tara Reid. Sharknado is just fun. If you hate Sharknado, I don't know. I don't know what to say to you. Sharknado's a good time. The next one is also a good time. I feel like the water movies I like are just fun water movies besides Jaws. Because Piranha, but I mean Piranha 3D, not the original one. I've never seen the original one. Piranha 3D from 2010. It's in Alexandra Aja, and I'm probably butchering his name again. Another remake of his that I've talked about. This guy's got remakes. And it won't be the last movie I talk about from him. I believe he's got 3 on this list. It came out when Avatar was really big, and everyone was like, wow, we need to use this 3D technology and make all these big movies 3D. That way people will spend billions of dollars. And it wasn't working for anyone except for Avatar. But Piranha was hated when it came out. This movie, if you go back and watch it now, and in the light of this is going to be a bad movie, let's have a good time, in the same way as like Sharknado, it's three things. It's boobs, piranhas, and a penis getting bit off. And because it was made in 3D, I remember watching this in 3D, and the piranha, I'm spoiling this part, but if this makes you watch it, you have to hear it. A piranha bites off this dude's dick, and it spits chunks of penis at the camera because it's in 3D. So now you have chunks of penis coming at you. If that doesn't make you want to watch the movie, we have different senses of humor. Piranha 3D is fun. The next one on water is one of the most recent movies I've seen. It is The Bay from 2012 from Barry Levinson. This is a found footage, sort of like if Piranha met Jaws, in the sense of instead of piranhas or sharks, it's these little parasites that something's going on. I don't want to get too deep into it. That way it's kind of a mystery to people if you guys do end up watching it. Something's going on that is making these parasites eat people in certain ways. And it all happens on the 4th of July. And it's at, I don't remember what the location's called, but it's sort of like a Put-in-Bay, if you've ever heard of that, of like a big touristy site where probably just 3 months of the year these people make all of their money, and then it's dead the rest of the year. So the place is slammed with families and friends celebrating the 4th of July, and then this story is told from basically a news reporter retelling these things that happen, because she's someone that survived the story. And it's got footage from like science researchers taking videos while they were there, and just news reports, things like that. It was really well done. I really liked it. The bay was a lot of fun. It was really cool. Had some cool designs too. It was like, it felt like the highest budget, found footage film I'd seen in a while. I don't know if maybe like Cloverfield had a higher budget. There's probably been higher budget found footage films, but there were so many actors and extras and special effects, cameras and locations. It just felt like there was a lot that went into this movie, and they did it really well. The last one of the water section is a movie called Sweetheart from 2019 by J.D. Dillard. I watched this movie when it came to Shudder. I want to say in 2019. It might have been a direct-to-Shudder movie. And everyone was hype about it. And it ended up being a lot of fun. I don't think it quite lived up to the hype, but I put it on here because I would describe the movie as if Castaway had like a sea creature in it. So, yeah, I don't want to go any deeper than that. Just take it with if Castaway had a sea creature. I remember this movie having a really good soundtrack. The actress is decent in it. And also just the cinematography was awesome. The way that when night comes and the sea creature is like doing its stuff, and there's a bunch of like flares and things going off of the ocean, looked beautiful. Yeah, Sweetheart was good. That's one I need to rewatch because it's been 5 years. Yeah, since I've seen Sweetheart. I remember that being really good. Done with water. The next section, second to last section, when I think of summer, I think of getting out of school. So I'm still relatively young. I'm 25. So like college was a bit ago. High school was a longer time ago. But summer means school's out. So this section is called School's Out. And the main slasher I think of when I think of school being out is 1997's I Know What You Did Last Summer. It's by Jim Gillespie. And if you haven't seen I Know What You Did Last Summer, a lot of people shit on I Know What You Did Last Summer because it's definitely... The movie came out in the 90s when Scream had just saved the slasher genre. So the slasher genre had gone really stale and repetitive, and people weren't flocking out to see these cheaply made, over-troped movies anymore. And then Scream came out, and it did the whole meta thing and refreshed and like reset everyone's love for slashers. So they just started taking all the hottest actors that they could and throwing them in these 90s slasher films. I Know What You Did Last Summer is fun, but it is severely carried by how much you can care about the cast, because it's got Freddie Prinze Jr. and who's the other guy? Shit. I just forgot his name and I didn't write it down. Freddie Prinze Jr. and Sarah Michelle Gellar and Jennifer Love Hewitt. And if you don't hear Sarah Michelle Gellar and Jennifer Love Hewitt and want to watch that movie, you like boys, and that's okay. You can like boys. But if you don't like boys and you hear those two names, you should watch this movie. Honestly, if you like boys, you might still just like those two people. Sarah Michelle Gellar and Jennifer Love Hewitt are for the masses. So they carry this movie. The killer is just based off of like the Hook Man from like the old fairy tale, or like the folk tale of the guy with the hook. And the main story is these kids graduate from high school and they go out joyriding and they hit this guy and they hide the body. And then a year later, things start coming up of, I know what you did last summer. So, yeah, like I said, it's not exactly known for the story, but the cast carries it. It's really fun. The second one is also pretty fun, but it's dumber. And it replaces, so it takes out Sarah Michelle Gellar and replaces her with Rastafarian Jack Black. Did I just sell you on the movie or what? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. No, that one's called I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, I believe. Yeah. The next one, I don't know. I actually don't think this movie takes place during the summertime, so it kind of shouldn't be on here, but something about it feels like summer, like the Childish Gambino song, and because it's got people swimming in pools in it occasionally, but it's not School's Out, so maybe I shouldn't have it in the School's Out section, but it's my video. Shut up. My podcast. Shut the frick up. It Follows from 2014 feels like a summer movie. I like It Follows. I love It Follows, actually. Probably one of my favorite movies of the last 10 years. It feels like a slasher. I think it's fair to say it's a slasher, maybe a creature feature slasher-ish. But if you don't know It Follows, you live under a rock. But if you just got out from under your rock, I'll describe it to you. It is about a entity that tracks you down and never stops tracking you down until it either kills you or you have sex with someone and then it transfers it to the next person. So It Follows is just STD the movie. But it's more than that. It's genuinely a really good movie. And it also introduces us to Micah Monroe, who's been killing it, is one of, I'd say, now an established horror icon. She's a contemporary scream queen now. Hopefully, yeah, same with Maxine of coming out last week. Long Legs comes out this week, and I'm hoping I can see both of those. Might just do a double feature of that while I'm out. That way I don't have to leave the house twice. But excuse me, It Follows is fantastic. If you haven't seen It Follows, look up the It Follows cell phone. It is a phone that I guess David Robert Mitchell made up at some point in his script that's really cool, and we've never seen a phone like it. And it's been 10 years. Why hasn't anyone made the seashell phone from It Follows? Because I want 3 of them. I want one in black. I think that'd look really cool. It might look like a hockey puck, so maybe I shouldn't get it in black. The next School's Out movie is Super 8 from 2011 by J.J. Abrams. This similar to It Follows, so shut up. This might take place during school. Like I said, it's been a while since I've seen this too. But shut up. It's my podcast. It feels like summer. And I think the main reason it feels like summer is because everything J.J. Abrams did in this movie is just what Spielberg would have done. It's the most Spielberg movie not made by Steven Spielberg, if that makes sense. Just the feeling, the ensemble of kids running around this small town in Ohio, which also maybe that's why it feels like summer to me, because I was a kid in small town Ohio running around, and they're just chasing aliens, and they're making movies with their friends. And yeah, maybe I'm now figuring out that's why this feels like summer for me. Yeah, I just had a realization right here on camera. That makes sense. Okay, well, Super 8's a lot of fun. It's like I said, if you like Steven Spielberg, you'll like this. I think it also, I can't think of another J.J. Abrams movie that isn't like Star Wars or Star Trek, or he did 10 Cloverfield Lane, or he produced it maybe. So this is like his, I don't think, there's no way it's his only original movie, right? Was this his first movie? I'll have to look that up. This might be J.J. Abrams' first movie. Or first feature, I would assume. Last one on the Schools Out list is 2007's Disturbia. Cue the Rihanna song. Disturbia, like the darkness in my life. It was until today when I was writing notes for this that I realized, when Googling it to double check so I didn't sound stupid, that movie was not written, or that song was not written for that movie. I don't know why. I could have swore that song's in the movie and that it was written for it and then put on an album after. But I guess not. I Googled it. That is not true. So I might still tell people that's true. Either way, let's get in the movie. Disturbia is it's by DJ Caruso. It is basically, if you know Alfred Hitchcock's Rear Window, it is Rear Window if it was from the point of view of a perverted teenage boy. And the movie is just fun. This movie was made back when Shia LaBeouf was still charming. He was like fresh off of Transformers and was the new big thing off of Disney Channel Kids, and wasn't an abuser yet, I don't think. And I don't know. I just find this movie charming. I think it's a lot of fun. Just the idea of this kid being on house arrest. So he just like scopes out the town, and then he sees something bad happen, and no one believes him because he's a troubled kid that just they think is lying to get out of his house arrest. Disturbia is fun. You should check out Disturbia. If you haven't seen Rear Window, watch Rear Window first, because watch Disturbia first, because Rear Window is way better of a movie. Maybe you can appreciate Disturbia more if it feels more original. But watch both of those. Those are awesome. Rear Window might even kind of be a summer movie. That movie gets a bit toasty at times. I wouldn't put that in Hot as Hell, though. I don't think it's as hot as the other movies. Yeah. But that's the last School's Out movie. Now on to the last section, and this might have the most movies. I think all the other ones either had 4 or 5. Yeah, this one has 6. And when I think of School's Out, I think most people think of summer vacation. So this section is vacation. And I think this might have some of my favorite, I mean, besides the classics that I've already talked about, this has a few of my favorites in it. So starting off with 2005's Hostel from Eli Roth. Say what you will about Eli Roth. This movie is the perfect blend of like the movie Euro Trip and like a Saw movie. So the first half is, and literally it's like the first 45 minutes of this hour-and-a-half movie is these 3 bros going on this trip to like Slovakia or Amsterdam, something like that. And they're just broing it up. They're doing drugs. They're getting drunk. They're saying obscene things that don't really get said anymore unless you're Republican. And the second half is just gore porn. And I think it's one of those movies that popularized gore porn. So it was like Jaw, Jaws. Saw, flipped it around, flipped it and reversed it. Saw kind of invented the gore porn genre of the 2000s. Hostel was like the next one to come up and do it well and like be well received by horror fans, not by like critics, because critics don't like it. The movie's funny and it's bloody and the gore effects are really good. I think I own the second one, but I haven't seen it. I've seen parts of it. I think there's a third one. I don't think I own the third one, but it also is, I've heard, not good. Just watch the first one. Hostel 1 is fun. My summer theme overall is fun movies, I guess. There's one movie in this list particular that I'd say is just not fun, but we're not coming up to that yet. The next one is actually also an Eli Roth movie, and I should have flipped these because it comes before Hostel, but it's Cabin Fever. Cabin Fever could probably also go under the hot as hell, because I think it's one of those just like a summer cabin, sweating your balls off, and then all of a sudden these people just start getting like eaten by this virus. And it's a body horror movie that was also like introducing the gore porn, like splatter porn. I don't know what the best term is. Like, is YouTube going to hate me for saying porn so much? Maybe we should stop saying gore porn together. We'll find a new term for that. Torture porn, is that better? Torture porn might be worse to say. I'm saying all of this a lot right now, too. Cabin Fever is definitely the movie on this list of all of these that ages the worst. The dialogue in this is borderline unbearable, and it's laughably a movie from 2002. F slurs, R words, all that. And they're like sometimes in the same sentence, I think, just back to back. Just the people in this talk how I would imagine most people in like 1997 in a boys' locker room would talk if it was only the people that got held back and they were still in like remedial English. That's how these characters talk. The thing that'll keep you around is laughing at these characters and kind of just being excited when they finally die. The special effects are great. One of the most unsettling kills in a lot of movies is probably in this. It makes me happy I don't shave my legs. That's all I'll say. If you haven't seen this, just anticipate a leg shaving, a leg shaving part being a bit uncomfy. That might be the best word. It's uncomfy. Am I going out of focus? Why is this doing this? Don't do this. I think I fixed it. All right. Yeah, let's get off of Eli Roth, because I didn't mean to do two Eli Roths back to back. I didn't mean to Roth you up right there. Have you Rothing from the mouth. Eden Lake from 2008. James Watkins, director. Eden Lake is probably the least fun movie on this list. I'm going back through and looking around. I feel like people could argue with me and say that In a Violent Nature is the least fun. I would say for sure Eden Lake is just not fun, but it's not that it's a bad movie. It is still a good movie. It is just a movie where things are happening, and each time something new progresses, you go, oh, I feel bad for them. Like, you just feel bad for these main characters. And so the story is, this couple goes on like a romantic getaway to go stay at this place that they used to camp at, because I think they're revisiting it. And they go there, and it's been like kind of industrialized, and like some of the woods has been taken down, and it's grimier now. And it's because they're about to build like apartment buildings there or something. And it's in England, and this couple ends up stumbling upon possibly the worst thing imaginable, which is British teenagers. And these British teenagers proceed to torture this couple and just make their lives a living hell. And I think the thing that sticks with people the most in this is the ending, so I will not spoil the ending. I didn't think the ending was that jaw-dropping. I kind of saw the ending coming when certain things started. But that's not to say it's not still like it's basically a wah wah at the end. It is not a happy ending. I'll give you that much. Eden Lake is not fun, but it's a good movie. If you want to be a little depressed, watch Eden Lake. Did I think I took a movie off here. What the heck? All right, we won't go back to that one then. I'll save that one for a different list. After Eden Lake, we have 2023's Infinity Pool from Brandon Cronenberg. That is, if you recognize that name, that is David Cronenberg's son. It is his second movie, and I think his best movie. I think I like Infinity Pool more than Possessor, and I think I like Infinity Pool a lot. Infinity Pool was so much fun. I think it was a super unique storyline of these rich people doing terrible things on vacation, and I don't even remember where they're exactly at, but they're abusing the government there somewhat with their money, because the main storyline is these people can do whatever they want because they're rich. And they're like, I don't think they're all American, but the main couple is just these rich Americans. And wacky, crazy things like psychedelic orgies and stuff start happening. And visually, the movie is stunning. Mia Goth is incredible in it. So far, she's kind of just killing it in everything she's been in that I've seen. But I've only seen her in horror movies. I'm pretty sure. I can't think of any non-horror movie that I've seen her in. But she's great in this. One of the Skarsgård brothers is the main character. I think it's... Is it Bill? Or is Bill Pennywise? It's the other one. Actually, there's three of them, aren't there? I don't remember. You can Google it. Google Infinity Pool, Skarsgård, or cast, and you'll find out. But the movie's awesome. It is super weird. If you like weird movies, this is one of the weirder ones on this list. I don't know if I should describe the plot more, because I can't remember. I don't think the trailers or anything describes it. So I'll let you go into Infinity Pool. And just remember that Infinity Pool is one of my higher recommendations on this list. I thought that movie was wacky and wet and wild, and you should watch Infinity Pool. Somehow, Infinity Pool, for Mia Goth movies, has more sex in it than X, which is a movie about making porn. I thought that was really interesting. Next movie on the list is 2008's The Ruins. Feels like I have a booger in my nose. I don't think I do. All right. 2008's The Ruins by director Carter Smith. This movie kind of feels like it does all the things that Cabin Fever, like all the tonal things that Cabin Fever kind of thought it was doing, this movie does. So this group of Americans go on this trip to Mexico, and it's I think it's Mexico, and they're hanging out, having a good time, drinking margs by the pool, and they end up going on this tour with a stranger they meet that's just like, hey, you guys want to see these abandoned temples? Like, I can take you there. It'll be really cool. Well, they go there, and they get trapped by, like, killer flora. Like, all the plants that are on the temple, they're like, sentient, and they start brutalizing these people. And the effects are incredible. The acting is good. Like that's what I mean by it's the opposite of what Cabin Fever was. The acting is good in this movie overall. Like, it's not like outstanding, it's not Oscar worthy, but for the style of horror movie this is, because you're going to this movie to watch people get killed by plants. You don't really anticipate the actors being that good, because they don't have to be. You just want the effects to be good, and the effects are very good. There's a dismembering scene in this that is very good. They end up just on top of it, and I think that's why it fits in the summer part of this, because just that it feels so hot being stuck up there in the sun where they are. So I could have put this in the hot as hell also. Fits the theme of the summer that I'm going for. In the last movie on the list, I think this movie takes place in the summer, but it is 2005's The Descent. It fits in the vacation, like, sub-genre that I'm trying to put together here. But The Descent is... It's similar in vine to the ruins, but the opposite. Instead of being in this temple where they go up, this group of women go on the spelunking trip and they go down into the caves. And the caves are scary. This is possibly the most claustrophobic film I've ever seen. If you know of a movie that is more claustrophobic than The Descent, let me know, because I want to watch that. Because the feeling, I don't know how people go in these caves and they have a good time. What makes you want to do that? That does not seem like a cash money time. And these people go down there and they find out that they're not just in a very scary cave that is very difficult to maneuver through. They find that there are these vampire troglodyte mutants in the caves that are now tracking them down. And the mutant design is really good. I believe it's all people in costume that look super creepy. Like I don't think they have any eyeballs because they've adapted to be in the caves and just use like sonar and they don't have to see. And the cool thing about that is at least we can see, because the lighting in this movie is fantastic, with all the blood is dark red in it, and there's flares everywhere, and there's flashlights bouncing, but then there's pitch black caverns, and at one point like someone falls in a bay of like blood and comes up, and it's just sick as fuck. The Descent is sick as fuck and badass. That is my description and review of The Descent. Sick as fuck and badass. So that is the final movie of the vacation slot. It is also the final movie of the list. So I had to reset my thing because of my SD card, so I don't exactly know how long this video went. Hopefully that wasn't too long or too short. I feel like I talked too fast. So if you thought that was a good pacing, let me know. If you want them a bit shorter, a bit longer, don't we all? But if you want the videos a bit shorter or a bit longer, let me know. Let me know what your favorite summer horror movie is. Yeah. That's it for episode 2 of Dead Air. I'm Daddy. Thank you for watching. I love you. Smooches.